it's like a one on separate.
And look at him, he does a really good job when he does it.
I'm busy all the time.
We're straight up 5?
Yeah, can we get the
mics?
attorneys on? I think they flash.
Oops, there you
There
go.
we go.
Good to go. All right, so 5 o'clock, we will call to order the Zoning and Adjustment Board meeting, Tuesday, January 14th at 5 p.m. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and I was absent, so I'll rely on
Sure, I got it.
others for those.
Anybody have any?
Yeah. And if not,
Are we supposed to put our reasoning in the motion? For why it was approved?
we can add that in. I mean, I think it's beneficial to have that as part
I
of
do
the
too.
record. Yeah.
Do you remember why?
I was not here.
You wouldn't remember then?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm supposed to say I watched it, huh?
this was on, I'm sorry, let me refresh my memory. Let's see.
11, 12.
Well, we could probably just make a motion to approve the
Yeah, let's go for
minutes,
that.
just amend them to include the reasoning that was mentioned in the meeting. Can y'all go back and?
Would you like to do that?
I guess, yeah, I want to make a motion to approve the minutes of the zoning adjustment board, November 12th, 2024, as presented in the attached minutes.
All right, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item on the agenda is old business, and we have none. So we will move on to new business. Only item on the agenda is a variance request for 209 Dewey Avenue, parcel ID number 60137474.000. Applicant requesting a 20% variance to reduce the lot width from a overall 180-foot wide lot into a 100. The zoning for R1 is 100-foot wide lot, so those would go down to 2 lots at 85 feet for the first lot and down to 95 feet for the second lot. And Wade, you will introduce the request for us.
Okay, yeah, you said this is, as you said, this is a variance, basically, well, it is in conjunction with a lot split that is going to, set for this evening's planning commission meeting also to create 2 lots for this property. In order to make that happen, because of the 180-foot width of the property, they need to get variance to allow one lot to be 85 feet and the other one 95 feet, since obviously this is R1 zoning. The minimum lot width in that district is 100 feet. So there's actually no way that 188-foot wide property could be split like that. So the variance would allow this property to be split. And I think Donovan will probably go into a little more detail about the reasoning for that. Apparently it's owned by multiple heirs to the property owner. And as I said, this is zoned R1, minimum width 100 feet in that district. Also 13,500 square foot minimum area, which according to the plan, the 2 proposed parcels will exceed that amount. They simply will not comply with that minimum width. And one is actually a 5% variance from the minimum width, and the other one is 15%, being at 85 feet. And The report, you can see that there are actually two dwellings on the property. One is an accessory dwelling, which is on the northern end, actually set closer to the street than the principal house. It's a non-conforming structure, and that is, I think it's 21 feet from the front property line. In this case, they're pointing out, not that there is a particular hardship involved with it, but it's some of the other criteria that the zoning adjustment board can rely on and look at for granting a variance. I think in this case, it refers to the other circumstances. I'll let Donna go into more detail about that. I think that summarizes the position and the relevant information on the property about the zoning and such. And I said Donovan Scruggs is here to provide more information. And if you have any questions for us, we'll be glad to look into them. Okay. Thank you.
So, which is the 85 and which is the 95? Is the existing structure is the...
Can you just a minute to pull that
And
up? Do you have that on the, can you pull that up on the screen?
Question, did we get any emails, calls, letters we need to, okay, thank you.
Do the final image on that. I think no, I don't have it. I'm sorry, it's not in your report apparently. I'm sorry.
It's with the next, the final image of that in the packet. One more. There we go.
Oh, okay.
So the northernmost is the 85 and the southernmost is the 95 and change. So question, I know, Wade, you mentioned the structure on the north part of the property as being an accessory structure. If we split these, then it's the main structure. Does that change any of the setback requirements? So is there any variance required for the existing structure that we would be creating by splitting these lots? Because now it's not accessory structure, now it's a
Correct.
main structure.
The existing northern structure, I believe is 5 feet from the property line. I can't.
So if I'm looking at that.
Yeah, it would be a non-conforming structure in its current location, and it can be repaired as it exists, but it cannot be expanded given that reduced insufficient setback on the north property line.
Okay.
Any new construction would have to meet the standard 10-foot side yard setback.
So back to the accessory dwelling, it says on our report, a majority of the structures do comply with R1 zoning except the accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the front setback of 25 feet. So it's already sitting,
So that's the one on the north. That is the one on the north.
it's already sitting too close to the roadway.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's non-conforming as an accessory structure and will still be non-conforming as a main structure, so that doesn't change its status as conforming to non-conforming, I guess.
That's
Okay.
correct, yes.
So accessory structure still has to be the same 25, so it's
Yeah, it
non-conforming
would
now, it'll be non-conforming
It would no longer be, as you
after.
said, it would no longer be an accessory
Yeah.
structure. It would be the principal structure in that situation.
But it's still, I mean, it's non-conforming both ways, existing and if there were a lot split.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just didn't know if changing, it from accessory to,
So my question is, how come there's not then a front yard variance for the accessory if it's already sitting too close to the roadway?
Because it is allowed to continue in its
It
present
will
state.
be, even though we're doing a split. Okay.
Well, you're doing a variance.
But because of the split,
I
yes.
see. I see. Well, I guess there'd be a question for the applicant. What are they planning to do with that You're the one.
tear it
Hey, my name's
down.
John Scruggs. I'm here representing Todd Lipton, Dalton Gerald, and Corey Lipton with this proposed variance. Y'all have peppered Wade with a bunch of questions, and I can try to give y'all several if Wade, maybe you can help me out. Maybe our collective history of Ocean Springs can come up with a decent answer. There used to be a provision that says a non-conforming building can be added on to as long as it does not come within 3 feet of the adjacent property line. So with that, this building could be expanded. My position on the accessory structure to the north is that it's not conforming because it's a two-family structure. It basically makes this lot not a single-family lot, but a two-family lot. And that would give, and then the rule's about 700 square feet for an accessory structure. So to me, it makes it very, very complicated to do an addition to the accessory structure on the north side without the split. More importantly, the reason for the split, though, is that you've got 3 brothers. One is worried about the other, where they can have 2 different ownerships. One will have 2/3 of the property, basically. The other will have 1/3 of the property. But right now, they're not joined otherwise than on this property, and they want to basically be able to do what they want to with their portions. And they cannot really come to decisions how to do this. And plus, it's because of the nonconformities of the property, they really can't do anything with it anyway. Technically, you could not add on to the accessory structure because it's not conforming. Plus, it's not conforming on several capacities. And then I think because the property as a whole is not conforming as a two-family structure, you would actually have a hard time doing improvements to the primary structure on the south side. So, in my opinion, the split makes it to where both properties can be almost standalone as a lot more conforming. And I think ultimately, Dalton would hope to take down the smaller structure on the north side and rebuild something, larger. He can't do that. If that building ever comes down, it can only be rebuilt as a accessory structure. And then there's limitations as to the size of that. So it really makes sense to split the properties and allow them to do, kind of what they want to do. Now, all that said, the reason that Wade alluded to, with everybody talks about hardship. If you think about a variance with narrowness of a lot, or you're thinking about a hardship with this steep slope, or a live oak, you want to say. Hardship is also, a condition that's generally not prevalent in the area. So when you look at the area, you'll see that what is prevalent in this area is primarily lots that do not meet the 100-foot width. The majority of lots in the area have widths that are either 85, 95, or even 70 feet. So this lot, being the largest lot that's adjacent to Dewey, is really not consistent with what's generally prevalent in the area. And therefore, I think we meet the hardship based on that terminology. So I do think this is a valid request for a hardship. I think Wade agrees. And even in your definition of hardship, it says, something that's unusual or peculiar to the property involved. Again, this area probably should be zoned R2 instead of R1, because the majority of lots are more consistent with the R1. But nobody in Old Ocean Springs wants to have their property zoned R2. They prefer the more safe feeling of larger lots in the R1 district. So, in my opinion, that's probably why it's R1 and not what it should be as R2. Golly, this thing does not work.
It's very sensitive.
It's sensitive.
I'm so sorry.
Not a problem. Next time I'll do a PowerPoint. This shows the area along Dewey, and it shows you, first of all, the lots that are present. Like I mentioned, 75, 81, 80, 55, 70. Even the Vaughn split, which was 85 and 15. 15 is a flag lot width. The biggest property on this street is probably Joel Knight's at the corner of LaFontaine and Dewey. But for the most part, they're narrower lots. They all have decent areas. They're just narrow and deep, and that's basically what the applicants want to do. And as we talked about before the meeting, have been a number of lot splits in the area in recent years. To the north of the property was split in 2013. In 17, there was another split on La Fontaine, the corner of that and Dewey. And then there was another one to the east of that in 2014. The 2014 didn't meet the rules at the time and still doesn't, well, it meets the 25% variance. It does not meet the, which was not in place until 19. The other image to the right shows you the surrounding property of this particular, of the subject property. And of those lots, only 2 were compliant. The majority of lots that are adjacent to this site are all less than 100 feet in length and width. So I think that it's a valid request in the sense that it is consistent with the neighborhood. Now, also the layout is good because it takes into account the humongous live oaks that are on site. The split, what we've done is place the property line in the center of the largest live oak. So basically, that makes it almost the safest place it can be. You've got to have setbacks from the property line, and by putting the property line in the center of the live oak, you'll have, you can get as far away as possible from that. It does not put the large live oak on any one property, so it makes it to where it's not anybody's responsibility or does not burden that lot excessively. So by putting that property there, I did a diagram after this. I was given, I mentioned giving this to Hannah earlier today, so then she told me she had it pretty quickly and I had nothing to me. But if you see here, I've got little red lines around this. I know you can't see it, but we've got large areas away from the live oaks that can actually allow the houses to be constructed. So this setup we've got here is very...
Donovan, may I look at that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to let you have them. It's very favorable to the trees.
There's 3 trees, right?
Yes, sir.
And they're all
Yeah.
significant.
One of them is, basically up front, almost on the street. So it's in a pretty safe spot, just because of
So it's these.
the front yard setback we're pushing behind it. And then the biggest tree is in the middle of the property. Like I said, we put that on the property line so that it does not really interfere with either property. And then there's one further on the north lot to the rear that is going to be far enough away and should not cause any concern. I mean, I'll be happy to answer as many questions as you would like on this. I do think that this is a request that's definitely within the limits. I think y'all allow up to 25%. We've played and tried our best to keep it, low. We could have, played around and done, a 20% variance on one or 25% variance on one, let the other one be 100 or 105 feet, but then you're looking at a lot that's very small. And by doing that, you're also putting less flexibility in the way to move around from trees. By having, the bigger the lots you have, the wider the lots you have, the more flexibility you have moving the structure. So it does, it works out best for the whole area, in my opinion.
All right, any questions of Donovan can we have?
Yeah, y'all just have to make it part of the record if you like.
Yeah. Would like to make a motion to,
Make a motion to accept the, what do we want to
Packet.
call that? Packet submitted by Donovan that demarcates the trees
Yeah.
and potential home sites.
all right, motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, part of the record. Thank you, Donovan. Any other questions for Mr. Scruggs? My question was gonna be, why not 180, and I think, you already answered that one, so.
And mine was gonna be about the trees, so you answered that.
I'm glad to be ahead of y'all on those.
Any other questions? Something else comes up, we'll bring it.
I'll be
Thank you.
right here.
Okay, all right. Would anyone else like to come up and speak in favor for this request? All right. Anyone to speak against this request? All right. Further discussion? Or make a motion? If anyone's,
Well, apparently that's almost the same thing that happened to us on our lot. It was 150 and they cut it to 75 each apparently, right? It was supposed to be 350s, but anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I think it
so it
is
is consistent with the.
reflective of a lot of the lot widths,
Yeah.
and they meet at neighborhood.
yeah.
If there's a plan for working around the trees,
Yeah. Of course, they would have to go past, they would have to get approval for that regardless. Yeah. Wow. No, it's consistent, is my point.
For process, the packet has potential motions, of approving or disapproving at a certain reduction. Would they normally need to have like percentage? Does it matter,
I mean, we
percentage?
can put that in there if you'd like.
Okay. No,
When I do the next minutes, I can put the, 5% reduction and the 15% reduction on lots and things like that. if
and
you'd
then the
like.
reason,
And the reason
approval or
for it is the
denial.
trees.
Mhm.
And then make reference to the application, as shown on the application and site plan, I think that should cover it.
Is this technically two motions? I mean, two lots do not exist.
I thought that.
One lot exists, so can you make a motion for, two parcels when the other one doesn't
I
exist
thought about
yet?
that, but how would you, if you denied one, then the other would be denied.
There you
So
go.
there's really, it all
Gotcha.
hinges on
Yeah, gotcha,
one variance.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Anyone, any further discussion, or anyone like to make a motion?
We in agreement?
Take a roll. Wanted to recommend approval of reduction of the lot width parcel A. 15% reduction or reduction of 100 feet. It's gonna get confusing here. I gotta think about that. Hold on, I gotta think about that. Let's see, recommend approval of reduction of minimum lot width from 100 feet to 85 feet for parcel A, or 50% reduction. And recommendation of 95 feet for the parcel B, which is equivalent to a 5% reduction. To conform to the existing lots adjacent in the neighborhood. Does that kind of make any sense there?
Yes, sir.
due to nonconformity of lots in the adjacent neighborhood.
All right, so, got a motion on the floor to recommend approval of the variance request at 209 Dewey for part, what's shown as parcel A on the provided diagram from 100 feet to 85 feet, and parcel B from 100 feet to 95 feet, based on the existing non-conforming lots in the adjacent area around this parcel. This kind of puts it more in line with the existing character of the neighborhood. Motion on the floor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
A lot better.
Well, you set me up, I just, yeah. If I had to think it from scratch, yeah.
Will the applicant, I know they go to planning, and then from there, the Board of Aldermen
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, so do we need to make this contingent upon the planning commission tonight or anything?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, that would be a good idea.
yeah, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, good.
Do we need to go back and amend the motion?
Just to make a second motion. I think
Okay,
would be
okay,
the way
all
to
right.
go.
I'll make a motion that, our motion is contingent on the planning commission approving the lot split.
All right, second motion to make the first approved motion contingent upon the planning commission's approval of the lot split. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Yes, you'll be on lot split for tonight, and then, depending how those go, I guess both or one will be on City Council or Board of Aldermen Tuesday. All right, next item on the agenda is audience request. Anyone, anything outside of what was discussed tonight? No. All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Do you have any items for next month's agenda?
Not that I know of, do we have any? I believe we have one for
One.
this month.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
processed it yet,
So, that is